Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio. The basement.
Yeah.
This is.
What's up? What's good? What's happening? Welcome to the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio. Radio. That might be an echo. Let me fix that. It is I, the actual King Smith, here with WTF Nation Radio. Had a little bit of technical glitches, but we are on and popping. Hope everybody's doing well. This Wednesday, August 26th, 2026, we are rapidly approaching the end of the month. There's been some interesting sports news that has came along, and I am going to be the guy and the lovely face to take y'all through tonight's live stream where we talk about all things sports and things of that nature. I am trying to figure out what is going on with my co-host. Something happened with my co-host, but you know what? It's all right. We're here. If he pops in, he pops in. Tonight on the Sports Bar, the NFL just killed a tradition that has existed since the 1950s. Some sources say the 1930s, but we're going to go with the 1950s over here. The Pro Bowl games are gone. But while there's no game, there will still be a Pro Bowler that is named to keep up with the honor of being called a Pro Bowler, which, if I'm going to be honest with y'all, I think that the game was done anyway. It's a money sink, and it just really wasn't worth it. But let's see if we can figure out why. Also, college football is officially entering the wild, wild west. Players are trying to go from college to the pros and back to college, and the SEC is taking a stance against it. They said if you're going to try it, your head coach could miss up to half the season. Why is the SEC trying to play hardball about this? And what does this say about the state of sports and amateur sports going forward? We also got the San Francisco 49ers owner trying to pull his very best hold my beer against the Patriots owner, and that the 49ers owner was arrested in an Ohio prostitution sting. And tonight, we're going to know how exactly that was found out and what police are claiming is happened. And we're going to throw out allegedly over here. We're also going to talk about and break down the Enes Kanter freedom situation, because there's a lot more to this story than he wore a shirt and got kicked out. Who actually started the confrontation that led to Enes Kanter getting kicked out and subsequently banned from the Chicago Sky's home stadium? I got some thoughts on that one. And we're going to have a couple of other sports stories as well. MLB scores, WNBA news because coach isn't on right now, NFL injuries that could affect your fantasy football draft. So be sure to tune in. But before we get started, I'm going to start off by reminding people to join our Survivors League. And I'm going to put the link into the chat right here. So go into the link in the chat and join our Survivors League. It is free to join. It is also in the description box of whatever live stream that you are watching on. And I have to tell you, you're going to want to join. Right now, we've got about 8 people in. If you've never played NFL Survivor, it is easy. Each week, you pick one person and one team, that you would think is going to win that week's matchup. And as long as they win, boom, you are good to go. You survive and go on to the next week. But once you pick that team, you can no longer pick them for the rest of the season. The winner of our WTF Nation Radio Survivors League is going to win something. I don't know what it is. It might be cash and prizes. But the only way that you're going to know is to join and enter. It is absolutely free. Click on the link to join. You don't even have to know sports. You could do a 50-50 guessing game each week and get lucky. So be sure to join our NFL Survivor League and try to see if you can make it longer than me. Let's see if we got a couple of people in the building. We got God Happening. We said good evening. Shout out to you. We got somebody up on YouTube that says that they love me. Well, you know what? I love you too. Thank you for tuning in. Now, next up here, let's get cracking. Let's get right into it. The NFL kills the Pro Bowl. The NFL announced today that it is ending the actual Pro Bowl event, beginning with honors for the 2026 season. The league had conducted some various versions of the Pro Bowl since 1951. And while it is an honor to be called a Pro Bowl, the lack of competitiveness that has since came about in the modern football era is one of the reasons why the Pro Bowl is gone. So, what changed? 88 players will still be selected. There's going to be an offense, defense, and special teams selection, and those are going to be present and represented across both the AFC and the NFC. Players, coaches, and fans will continue the voting, and each group's vote remains weighted equally. There is also going to no longer be alternate Pro Bowl selections. So those who ball out get the opportunity to be called Pro Bowl and get a little bit of extra money in their pocket, as there are some incentives to being selected for the Pro Bowl. All right. Now, there were no, instead of there being a football or skills competition, Pro Bowlers are going to be invited to Los Angeles for an in-person celebration in February. So it's just going to be a party, essentially. You're going to get through the pro season. You're going to have the Super Bowl. Then there's going to be a big-ass party. All right? The roster is going to be revealed in December through what the NFL calls an enhanced announcement. So they haven't quite said how they're going to do the presentation, but they don't want to just kill it all together. And I'm going to ask y'all, and I believe I know what most of y'all's answer is going to be for those that keep up with football. Is anybody actually upset that the Pro Bowl event is dead? When was the last time you actually sat and watched the Pro Bowl? I believe that the decision to eliminate the alternates makes sense, and it means a lot more. It means that you weren't just second fiddle because somebody wasn't available or wasn't able to be able to make a Pro Bowl game because they were injured or they had a backiotomy scheduled or their team was doing so well so they needed to focus on the Super Bowl game instead of a unmeaningful Pro Bowl event that was more about fan service and if guys actually wanted to show up to play. The last time you could even think about the Pro Bowl creating some type of a highlight was when Sean Taylor destroyed that kicker on a special teams play. And that was in the early 2000s. That's the last time that the Pro Bowl's really been relevant. Now, I had some ideas about what could have worked. I know that people talked about the flag football event and how that was done this past season, and I didn't have any issues with that. What I would like to see is maybe some type of a Madden tournament. Beef up the flag football, but have some significant prize money. Make it so that, wouldn't it be cool to have like a Joe's versus pros event where those that make it to the Pro Bowl have an opportunity? Wouldn't it be cool to play against some of your favorite players that you see in the league? And I'm pretty sure that that could even raise money as well. I'm curious if y'all have anything that y'all could have thought that the NFL could have included instead of just killing the event altogether. What could they have done to maybe have raised the profile. Have some type of a real skills competition, not where you're phoning it in, but make it worth something. Make it worth something. What that something is, if they would have figured it out, they would have kept it going. So I'm all right with the NFL eliminating the Pro Bowl games. I don't think that it was getting the viewership that it would have liked to keep it going. And the modern players are divas. They were just divas that didn't want to really play in the game, even if it did meant more of a bigger check in their pocketbook. But those are my thoughts. Let me come on and see if we have any comments before I move over to the next segment. We got a couple of comments here. Gotta Happen to Me said that she remembers the Pro Bowl being relevant like 3 years ago. Shout out to Edgar over on YouTube for the hi, bro. What up, Edgar? Appreciate you popping in. Thanks for the comment. Now, next segment here. Let me come over here and get my notes. The SEC says once you go pro, you can't come back. Or at least that's what they're trying to do. In the wake of one player who did not get drafted and made the announcement that he was going to come back to college, y'all, it is the wild, wild west when it comes to sports news. So check this out. The SEC has said that they're going to take a hardline stance on this. And this reeks of Nick Saban, by the way. Shout out to the legendary Alabama football coach, Roll Tide. The SEC has moved to prohibit athletes who cross defined professional thresholds from returning to compete at SEC schools. The policy covers athletes who declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA draft and didn't properly withdraw, has signed contracts with NFL or other professional football leagues or their affiliates, and have appeared on a roster in any of those professional leagues. And the punishment is just as insane. For a violation, the SEC has approved the following penalties. The head coach gets suspended for 50% of the season. Cut and dry. The school gets fined equally up to 50% of that sport's operating budget. How does that work if they were a multiple sport athlete? I couldn't find the information on that one. And the institution that gets the violation, loss of SEC voting privileges. But check this out. LSU, interesting enough, was the only SEC institution that did not support the penalty structure as approved. They were the only college to abstain as the votes were passed 15-0. Why would LSU be the only school to abstain? Well, they were the ones at the center of this. At the beginning, I alluded to a player that went to the pros and is now trying to come back. Well, former Ole Miss tight end Daquan Wright had attempted to clear NFL waivers following his release by the Cleveland Browns and wanted to pursue another college season at LSU. There's also a basketball player, RJ Luis Jr., who went undrafted but subsequently signed NBA contracts with both Utah and Boston. A recent court injunction opened the door for him to come back and pursue playing college ball at LSU. So LSU was like, hey, we're going to stay out of this because we need this to fall in favor of us. I would like to know, for any player out there, if you could leave, let's say, Alabama, declare for the NFL, and don't make it, but still have eligibility because of a court ruling, Why wouldn't you be allowed to go back? What's interesting is that going to college to play college sports isn't really about being a student athlete, if you ask me. If you're one of the top tier talents, you're going there and you're trying to raise your profile in order to simply make it to the league, go to the next level, and hopefully create some generational wealth for you and your family. I think it's interesting that colleges are trying to play hardball against this. I think it's interesting that the SEC is trying to lead the charge in essentially controlling these kids. They're adults, but these young athletes to what? Make them think twice? Does it hurt the SEC if other college conferences chooses not to take part of those shenanigans? And they're saying, hey, you're free to come and play for the ACC. Come on over here. Make our school better. You didn't quite make a pro roster, but you're still an elite college athlete enough to have gone that far. Come on back. We'll take you. Is that going to change the prestige of the SEC? Players are already making good money with this name, image, and likeness, NIL money. The transfer portal has gotten bigger, nastier, and uglier, but it gives the players and the athletes a lot more negotiating strength. School athletics are essentially operating like a business already. They're one quite big, gigantic, enormous athletic business. And a lot of this and what they're trying to do is about control. We got a comment here by Tremaine Young that said, nope, the Pro Bowl, no Pro Bowl, so that means straight to the Super Bowl. I need to check and look to see, did they adjust the schedule for this? Is it still going to be right after the conference championships? Is there still going to be that week off and then the Super Bowl? I hope that they eliminate that week. Let's just go straight to the game. I'd be all for that. As I was getting my show prepped, I don't think I saw anything about a possible change in schedule. God Happened to Me said, to me, I don't understand why you would want to go back to college. I do. Big fish in a small pond. Does it that mean more school, though you clearly weren't interested to begin with? Hey, let me go back. I could go back, raise my profile a bit. Maybe, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. Don't say what I was about to say. I think we clearly know where God Happened to Me stands. I think God Happened to Me would say, let me stay my butt out and be free, be less restricted. I think if you get a chance to go back and compete and raise your profile a bit, why not? Give yourself the opportunity to have more tape. And with NIL, you can make money as well. That's what I would do. That is exactly what I would do. Now, let me make a transition here and go to the next story, but let me get this up on the screen here. Good old Jed. Jed tried to get him some hanky-panky and failed miserably. Let me get this up on the screen here because I've got to get this up. Jed York, so that y'all can see who it is that I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to share my screen here because this one I had to put a face to the article. Let me change up how this looks. I kind of like that how this was. I'm going to be in the bottom corner. All right, here we go. Body cam footage from the 49ers owner Jed York arrest shows two law enforcement officers discussing why a person of York's stature would get himself arrested in a prostitution sting at a trailer park in East Palestine, Ohio. That's insane to me. Insane. You got all this kind of money. There's places near Las Vegas where you can legally go and get your rocks off. Now, this guy is a married man, so he is going to have some questions to have to answer to. All right. And this type of news to hit the 49ers organization right before the start of the season. I mean, come on, bruh. York, who was wearing a New York Yankees t-shirt, claimed he was just driving around. I wasn't trying to find nobody to get my rocks off. I wasn't going to a website that might be known for certain things to be able to find somebody to do something strange for a little bit of change. It is unclear at what point the officers realized that they had arrested who they had arrested, but as they looked through his wallet, they found several $20 bills, which, look, let's read between the lines. He thought he went to a website to find somebody to do something strange for a little bit of change, went to an ATM, pulled out a bunch of 20s, and was looking at trying to meet up with somebody so that they could do what they claimed that they was going to do, and he was going to slide them some money for doing it. But when you are somebody that has his type of resources, why go that route? Why not find you some type of professional, high-end person, get them to sign an NDA, and do what you got to do? I'm pretty sure with his type of money, he might even have a private jet. Why not get in the PJ to go get your BJ? Clippers, clip that. Man. So the officers on the body cam, which I couldn't find the body cam prior to this live stream, was basically saying that this guy's got more cash in his wallet. He's got a crap load of money. He's got all of that money. It's crazy that people do this. They could do whatever they want. They could do other things. They could go other ways. It's wild. Like even the cops know there's other ways of going about getting your rocks off. York has since pleaded no contest to the charges of disorderly conduct and possession of criminal tools. That one, I need to figure out, what is possession of criminal tools? That sounds like a made up thing here. What is possession of criminal tools? Ohio Revised Code said that possession of criminal tools is a criminal charge given to anyone who controls an item with the intent to use it in an illegal act. So like what, your cell phone? What counts as a criminal tool? Crowbars, lockpicks, shanks, cell phones. Cell phones used to coordinate illegal acts or cash used to buy drugs. That sounds like something you just add on to make something try and stick. We got somebody that said nobody's watching. Hey, you don't, as of right now, you don't see the numbers back here. Nobody might be watching on the channel that you're watching on, but we're multi-streaming. And let me go see here. Let me go see what our numbers are, because we got over 100 viewers here right now. Let me get the exact number here to this person that's saying nobody is watching. We have right now 140 people watching across multiple platforms. But thanks for your comment. I appreciate you tuning in. Now, before you so rudely threw me off, police say that York had asked for a location. He asked for what she charged. He was quoted $160 for sexual activities. He drove a rental vehicle to a mobile home parking lot. Police gave him a fake lot number, eventually stopped him. They found the money that he chose to show up with, which was exactly 160. Verified his phone was the device that was used to communicate with the phony ad, and caught him in the sting. He was originally charged with engaging in prostitution, but prosecutors amended the charge to disorderly conduct because it looks cleaner. The crazy part about it is it doesn't matter what they charge you with, the news is out there. He received 1 day in jail on each charge to be served concurrently, but was given credit for the day already served. Also fined $1,150, and they seized the $160 that goes towards the Human Trafficking Task Force. And he had to complete an online course. Now, the NFL is reviewing the matter under its personal conduct policy, as NFL owners can be fined or suspended under that policy. And the 49ers have said that the legal matter is resolved and have declined further comment. And head coach Kyle Shanahan said that he doesn't believe that this will affect the team. Look, you had Robert Kraft out there going to go get his rubbing tub. You also had his head coach, Coach Vrabel, shout out to Coach V, get caught sliding with somebody who wasn't his spouse. Sex is knocking these people down a peg or two. And I don't get it. Now, I'm curious if it was a player, would the NFL have held the player to the same conduct or standard that it would have held the NFL owner? If a player can get suspended for off-the-field behavior despite not being convicted of a felony, should the ownership face the same scrutiny? Should Roger Goodell suspend Jed York? My answer is yes, but I'm curious what y'all would say. God happened to me said, ignore the haters. Hey, God happened to me. Thank you. Hey, we got my homie. DC is in the building. Let me give a salute to the Marine and said, hey, King. Hey, DC, I appreciate you popping in. Yeah, let the haters know. Let the haters know that people are watching. And if there's a like button, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Holland Leanne said, off topic. Can you tell me an update on the WKU football player that was removed from the team after his mother passed? Last I heard, Lil Wayne had hired him as a lawyer. Let's take a look here and see what happened. We did talk about that one. And let's see. Latest update that I see 2 days ago is Victory Vaca lands at Middle Tennessee with NCAA fight backed by Lil Wayne. Yep, he lost his scholarship at Western Kentucky, but thanks to a legal challenge funded by rapper Lil Wayne, he has a new home. Okay, so he was granted an injunction against the NCAA that prevented it from enforcing its transfer rules. There is an update to the story, Holly. Thank you. So Vaca filed the lawsuit on August 5th, knew about that, against the NCAA. So the ruling came last week because he wanted to have the ability to transfer after the Hilltoppers non-renewed his scholarship. He entered the portal just 6 days ago on August the 20th and signed with Middle Tennessee 5 days later. Now, for those of y'all that are unfamiliar with this story, this kid lost his mother, went home to grieve. Some things happened, but in the process, he never reported back to the team, essentially, or kept up with his end of the bargain saying, hey, we'll let you go and grieve, but you need to be, checking in from time to time and things. Well, multiple sources were quoted as saying the guy never really checked in, so they didn't really know what was up with him. But what would you do if you lost your mom? I might not be thinking about checking in. and making sure I'm gonna need you to talk to the coaches and the school because I'm not in the right headspace to be doing it. Some people were saying that this was his way of trying to get away from Western Kentucky. He was set to graduate in the fall and had 1 year remaining of eligibility. But without the ability to play, if the transfer and the injunction didn't happen, he was done. If they did not let him transfer this season, he would not have had the ability to play his last year, to play his final season. Shout out to Lil Wayne for stepping up and covering his legal fees after hearing about his story. His manager, Fabian Marasculio, reached out to Vaca saying that the story touched Lil Wayne and that he wanted to help in any way possible. Wayne paid the costs associated with hiring college sports attorney Darren Heitner and flew Vaca and his brother out to a concert at the beginning of August to also meet him. Man, hey, shout out to Lil Wayne. I can't think of a bad Lil Wayne story now that I think about it. He seems to have a really good image about himself. Holly said, nice, good deal. Wish he would have picked something better than MTSU, though. I agree. God, me said, while I wouldn't check in, I would have somebody on my team. And look, this sentence right here, poor communication is unacceptable. Teens really need to learn that. I agree. These young student athletes, especially, have opportunities that your average person may not necessarily have. And my time in the military jaded me. Like, there's a lot of things that I do because of what I learned in the military. These young kids now, I don't think quite fully understand what accountability and consequences look like. And I think that's because we done got soft as a nation. Too much hand slapping and not enough locking your ass up. Or what WKU did and said, hey, while we understand that you're grieving, there's still a process. You're not following the process, so you got to go. I think that WKU did do the right thing. But shout out to Lil Wayne for stepping up and helping him out and giving this young kid a chance to not fully ruin his collegiate sports opportunity. David Cunningham said, I hear that there's a new ruling about NCAA athletes. Hey, David, yep, I just covered that right before you came on. That was the second story that we had. But yes, the SEC is the one that's in the fight against it. They are the only conference that are saying we aren't allowing that. But other conferences are allowing athletes to come back to college. Let's see what we have next here. Enes Kanter Freedom. The guy, and I'm using that term very specifically, who tried to declare himself for the WNBA draft for the upcoming seasons. Enes Kanter Freedom was a former NBA player. I don't think he's been on a roster for the last 2 seasons. The guy was an enforcer. He did something that I thought was interesting. But before I go into the rest of what happened, I'm going to share my screen here and take a look at this shirt. This shirt that he wore to a Chicago Sky game says women, noun, adult human, female. Now, what him and another former player did was say that they were announcing themselves as female or a woman and saying that since I identify as a woman, I can play in the WNBA. Now, at some point, one of the Chicago Sky players saw his shirt and went to go and approach Enes Kanter, which, let me tell y'all, that's a business decision. Like, what are you going to do if he were to actually get into a physical fight against this player? Because I'm going to tell y'all, there's not a whole lot of people without the use of a weapon that's going to do something against this guy who I think is like 6'10", 6'11", and a professional athlete.
Former NBA center Enes Kanter Freedom was ejected from a WNBA game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky after a confrontation with a player. Freedom was on the sidelines wearing a shirt that said, quote, woman, noun, adult, human, female. Sky guard Natasha Cloud confronted Freedom late into the third quarter, and he was then escorted from the arena. Freedom had a conversation with a group of police officers before leaving the stadium. Freedom had previously declared himself eligible for the WNBA this month, saying he identifies as a woman in a criticism of WNBA's eligibility criteria.
Again, Natasha Cloud. Let me see how tall she is. Let me see how tall. Natasha Cloud, height, weight. Natasha Cloud is a whopping 5'10", 160. How tall is Enes Kanter? Yeah, 6'10", 250. Natasha. Why? Why? If his shirt triggered you, then you're the one that's got the issue. I don't know. What I don't know is if Enes said something throughout the game that caused her to then go off on him. And I can't play the footage because it might get us zucked. So that's what I don't know. But if all he was doing was sitting, clapping, being a part of the game or whatnot, laughing, and then the player comes over and she was the one that started the commotion by coming up to him, why did he get kicked out? There were other witnesses that were there that were saying that he didn't say anything derogatory that would have rose to the level of him getting kicked out. Where Enes did mess up was that when the player came and was walking towards him and pointing and doing like this, he also stood up and walked and stepped and approached towards the court, to which security promptly stepped in the way. And Enes didn't like put his hands on the security or anything like that. He was genuinely laughing and smiling the entire time. Where I think he messed up was that he took that stuff forward, and that maybe him just being used to being on the court and things like that. And just like he didn't see that as a big deal. Now the Sky did ban him, which it's a political move. I'm pretty sure. I'm wondering if he's got like a lawyer or something that can challenge the ban. Because I don't think he violated any type of conduct that would have caused him to get kicked out. This screams like LeBron James when LeBron James went pointed. Like, at these events, there are conduct policies in place that even the fans are supposed to adhere to. I could scream and say, "You suck, you suck, you're trash." And depending on how things get interpreted or the player's ego getting bruised, they could get me kicked out just for screaming, "You suck." I don't think that what Enes did is wrong. I think that it's interesting that he's getting the league and the WNBA talking about this, whole what it means to be a woman thing. And I don't even know how we're still here. This whole what is a woman, what is not a woman thing People are interesting. But it takes somebody to be a disruptor, I guess. And if you're being the disruptor in a way that can challenge people to think, then you know what? So be it. Let's see if we have any additional comments here. Let's see. David Cunningham said that guy's as big as Lurch and put a laughing emoji. Yeah, I don't understand how the WNBA player thought that she could just go up and have a problem and think that she was actually going to do something. Let's call a spade a spade. Natasha. I'm going to say this. You know what? No, I'm not. Let me keep my mouth shut. David said, we have women playing in the boys' Little League World Series, but that's not a problem. Politics need to stay out of sports. I agree. Holly said, there are 2 genders in America. And Holly's going to stand 10 toes down on that. I hope you have all 10 of your toes, because I know people that don't have all 10 of their toes. There are 2 genders in America. If there are 2 genders, let me stay on this for a bit. Should we have a WNBA? Meaning, why not have it be the best 15 athletes for whatever that sport is? For basketball, it's 15 players. And if your best 15 happens to have a certain gender represented, then great. Like in golf, you've got the LPGA. You've got the PGA. I think bowling has a separate gender division. American football does it technically. Baseball does, soccer does, golf, hockey. Should we just get rid of the genderized sports and make it one specific sport? I saw a clip because high school football has started. There is a young lady that is the starting quarterback and middle linebacker for her high school team. Now, it looked like she was playing against a bunch of middle schoolers, but she was starting varsity and was throwing dimes too. Got out there and made a couple of tackles as well on defense. Put her at a high school in Texas, that ain't happening. But for where she plays, she's one of the better players playing on the field. Maybe we should eliminate gender eligibility for sports or gender separate sports divisions and make it so that the best player goes out and plays tennis, golf, darts, bowling, football, baseball, basketball, all the sports. Holly said, men belong nowhere in women's sports. Same goes for kids. But Holly, let's just take away gender completely. May the best athlete compete and earn their roster spot. I want to go to a WNBA game. They have one right down the road in DC, and I would like to go and attend. And I'm curious what the atmosphere is going to look like. I know I'm not going to see any dunking. And look, I'll say this. Everybody that plays on a WNBA team is more athletic than me. Let me start there. More athletic than I am. I'm pretty sure if I were to get out and play against a team full of WNBA players, I would get cooked. So I'm not saying that those ladies aren't athletes. What I'm saying is that put them on a roster for the guys. Do they make the roster? David Cunningham said that California high school football is the best. David, that is false. Alabama, Tennessee, maybe. No, Alabama and Texas. Actually, I ain't gonna front. I don't think there's a lot of people that are gonna compete with Texas. Texas football, I'm gonna say Alabama, Florida, then California. And I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on that. I wish you could have like a high school Pro Bowlers or like the high school blue chippers from one state competing against high schoolers from another state. I know that Alabama, Florida does it. No, it's Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, I think. And it draws a crowd. People pull up for those events. Let's see here. Let's see what we have to close out. We've got a couple of MLB games that are playing tonight. Let me go see what they are looking like right now. Let's see. Playing tonight, we have. Let me bring this up. All right, taking a look at the MLB scoreboard, you've got the Marlins over the Red Sox 2-0, bottom of the 7th. The Yankees over the Astros, bottom of the 6th. The Mets are getting their behinds beat by the Brewers, top of the 5th, 7-1. You've got the Rangers, White Sox 2-2, top of the 3rd, with 2 on base with 2 outs. The Colorado Rockies over the Washington Nationals, 4-1, top of the 7th. The Blue Jays giving the Royals the business, 3-0, bottom of the 6th. The Braves over the Dodgers, 4-3, top of the 5th. And the Baltimore Orioles, my team in baseball, over the Cardinals right now, 7-1, bottom of the 3rd. They had a lot of early runs, which is always good. All right. Let's see what we have to wrap out the show here. Today's going to be a shorter show. You've got Venus and Serena are back together, and they received a wild card into the U.S. Open Women's Doubles Tournament. They have won the U.S. Doubles Tournament Championship together twice before. But I'm curious, at this point, does Serena's return feel like a comeback, or should we just enjoy the appearance without expecting a full-time return from her? She has earned the right to be able to pop in and pop out as she please. So shout out to them. I'll be keeping up with that. The WNBA playoff field is set. So the 8 teams that are officially headed to the postseason are Minnesota, Las Vegas, Golden State, Indiana, Atlanta, New York, Washington, and Dallas. Dallas grabbed the final postseason berth with a 96-78 win over Portland. Now, the Enes Kanter story also drew numbers in other ways as well, because Sunday's Fever versus Sky game averaged 3.31 million viewers on NBC and Peacock, which apparently made it the most watched WNBA regular season game since 1997. Now, if Enes Kanter knew that that game was going to be one that could raise his profile, then that, to me, that makes him smart, intelligent. I'm not quite sure which word that I would pick. It was also reported that Enes didn't just show up out of the blue. His agent gave the Chicago Sky owner a heads up that he was going to be going to the game. And apparently all that was said was, enjoy the game. Cincinnati Bengals fans, y'all should be worried. Jamar Chase was going out for a route, and his left knee landed in a way that left knee should not land. He missed practice after hyperextending his left knee yesterday. And I saw the video. This is definitely going to have him sit out and rest too so that he can be back for the season. To fantasy football players, I don't know if I would draft him that high after the way that he had hyperextended his knee. The Giants also lost Calvin Austin III to an ACL tear during Tuesday's practice, and he's expected to miss the entire 2026 season. This is going to be his first year with Big Blue after 3 years in Pittsburgh. And he was looking good, too. I like Calvin Austin. Think he's a pretty good guy. I've met him once. So, Calvin, heal up, brother. College football is back this weekend, starting with what they call a week 0 with 8 FBS games scheduled. We have survived the offseason, y'all. College football is back. Now, do not forget, I'm going to throw a final plug into the Survivor League. In the description is a link to join the ESPN Fantasy Football Survivor League. If you think that you know football, or even if you don't, you might just be the best guesser in the world. Come and compete against Coach and myself. It's free to play. All you have to do is sign in, pick a team to win that week, and cross your fingers that they do win. Let's see if we have any comments here before I close out the show. Let me bring back up my screen here. Shout out to everybody that popped in. Holly Leanne said that men's bodies can't compare to a woman's, rather, even if they chop their wee-wee off or not. Oh, man, just saying that caused me to shudder. We got Wayne in the building saying, what's up? What if there's 3 separate divisions? Straight male, straight female, and then the LGBTQ. Who's going to watch the LGBTQ? Hey, maybe no, wait, don't say that. David Cunningham said that none of those teams would come out west. Hey, David, here's the thing. If I win the lottery, no, I'm going to change that. When I win the lottery, I'm going to put up some type of a monetary thing to where I would pay to have the best athletes from high school, from Alabama and Georgia, to play against, no way, I'll just say one state, because so you got to pick 2 states. Well, California is a big state. But I'll say I would pay out of my own money for the players, coaches, family members, equipment, all of that jazz, to maybe fly to some kind of neutral territory, someplace in between Alabama and California, just so that I can say at the end of it all, when the best Alabama high school players beat the best California players, that Alabama has the better high school athletes. When I win the lottery, I'm going to make that happen. And if you know the people to talk to in California, let me know. Wayne said that, oh, and if you're a space alien, we'd pay to see that if it was for real. Absolutely. Why don't I just declare myself a cat or a dog? I'm going to declare myself as a dog, roof, so that I could go and compete in those dog event thingies. Like, this is how ridiculous some of this stuff sounds to me. But maybe I'm ignorant. Who knows? St. John Bosco, Mater Dei, Centennial of Corona, Rancho Trabuco Hills, Concord de La Salle are the best high school teams in the West. Hey, I've heard of all of those schools. Ain't nobody messing with them schools. Let me stop trash talking. As a school, those are some powerhouses. I know exactly who they are. They are some powerhouses. As a school themselves, I don't think any individual Alabama school, there might be some 6A schools that could compete. When he said, go Chiefs and let's go Royals. I love it that you plug your teams. David said, great show, King. It's nice to be back on your live. Have a great NFL football year, fans. Go Steelers. David, it's glad to see you pop in, man, on a Wednesday night. I know that you've been busy and things like that, but it was always nice to have you, man. Wayne said, my stupid spandex workout tights leggings can barely hold back myself thinking about Serena and Venus. They're goddesses, man. Hey, shout out to them. They have definitely earned their place in history. And that's dope. That's dope. God happened to me said, good night. Hey, God happened to me. I appreciate you tuning in. Now, to the one hater that was out there, thank you for tuning in as well. To everybody else, if you hadn't hit that like button, be sure to mash that like button. I'm going to put the link to the Survivor League in the chat one more time so that people can say, well, I didn't know what the link was. The link is there in the chat right now. If you aren't able to click on it, if you go to the Sports Bar's Facebook page, and which is Sports Bar USA over on Facebook, you will see a post that has the link and you'll be able to join. Now, shout out to everybody that tuned in. Thank y'all for popping in tonight. Tomorrow, we will be back live with Sergeant's Time with Ice, followed by FTX this upcoming Friday. I am the actual King Smith, U.S. Air Force veteran, and I give y'all a salute. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.
Let's see it.